Hi, afternoon. Everybody in already? Hi.
Afternoon.
Afternoon. Oh, can hear me, huh?
Yeah, good afternoon, Dr. Ting.
Okay. Anybody who can't hear me, yeah, let me know, huh? To look for my camera. Haha. Give me a minute. Oh, um, Camellia, Camellia, is it? Camellia Lutang, okay. So you say
Yes.
you cannot scan, is it? That
Yes,
means
because
you haven't registered yet, is it?
yes, doctor.
Okay. If you haven't registered yet, it probably means that I also don't have your record on eLib. Okay. Yeah, it should be like I don't have your record on eLib.
Okay, doctor.
Let me
Hello,
check.
doctor. After
Hi.
hi,
Afternoon, Hafifi. How are you, Hafifi?
I feel good today.
Good. Is this your last class for today?
What is it?
Last class for today, yeah?
Actually, first class for today.
Oh, okay. Oh, so you're almost you're not taking all the subjects, or some finish already lah.
Yeah, doctor. Thank you, thank you.
Yeah, Hamilia, so you are not registered yet, so yeah, if you're waiting for your registration pin and all that, that means you haven't registered yet. So that means in the absent list here also I don't have your name, so I cannot do a manual type in for you lah. So it's okay, but you are already on WebEx, and usually when you're already on WebEx, there's a record of people who are attending on WebEx. So if I need to, I can always get your attendance from that side. Okay. So, but it's okay. It's not a big problem. Okay. So just attend the class. That's fine. And I think I've already pressed recorded. What else am I missing? Sometimes it's late afternoon class is a bit of I don't know, a bit of a drag because you have to wait for like whole day just to attend the class. It's good for people who are working. Being like, thinking, oh, I've got a class today, I've got a class today. I've been telling myself I've got a class today. And it's, oh yeah, it's at 2 o'clock. And then I'll be like, 2 o'clock, still have a while to go. Then I go and do something. And oh my gosh, it's already almost 3. And then I just, go and look for stuff to get ready for the class. It's sort of waiting to have the class for the whole day, that kind of feel. Okay. Can you all see the screen?
Yes.
Yes, doctor. Yes.
Yeah, so this my screen now is on what is scope and all that. I think I'll off the camera. It's just in case the line gets slow. Okay, then I'll on it again at the end. Okay. There we go. So yeah, so first class. So we spent very minimum first class on fundamentals of project management, and of course the speed that I went through that, and also the amount of information that I gave you, I believe is justified in a way that you guys are masters and you all have an undergraduate degree, which I assume that you have some knowledge of project management, especially those who are having basic degree in civil engineering. I think you all will have a subject or topic in your undergraduate called project management. Okay, and so therefore, when I go through it with you, from the first class, it was already based on assumption that you do have some basic knowledge in project management, and I hope that was not too fast for some of you, and not too confusing for some of you. Hopefully, okay. If it is, like I say, the recorded class, like all these classes, normally I will record it, okay. I've already pressed recorded. Let me double check. Sometimes I press, yeah, recording is in progress. So I will convert it to a YouTube thingy, and I will give you the link to the YouTube. So all you need to do is to listen back to the recording for class recording. Okay, there's two recording here. One is class recording. Class recording essentially is something like this. I'm talking, and then you guys are listening, and I'm doing recording. And then later on, if there's any parts that you guys are not so sure or not so clear, you can go back to the link that I posted to you at the end of the class, at the end of the week, at the end of the class, after the class, in the middle of the week or end of the week, the following week. So you guys can turn it on again and go through it, bits and pieces that you're not so sure. You can do that, okay? But this recording is usually full class, meaning that no matter how many hours that we go on, it will record that much, okay? Then there is another type that is pre-recorded. When I say pre-recorded, it means that I pre-record my lecture in 10 minute segments, and you guys can just pick up 10-minute segment. Each 10 minutes that I'll be like going for like a scope recording number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5, number 6, and those are pre-recorded lecture. So pre-recorded lecture, by 10 minutes marks, you can go for 10 minutes first, off it, and then go to the next one. If you feel like you're quite okay with it already, you go for the next one. So pre-recorded lecture will be posted in many segments. Like maybe if we have 80 minutes, it will be about 8 segments. If we have 100 minutes, then it will be about 100 segments, okay? And pre-recorded lecture will usually be at least 100 to 120 or even more, 150 minutes sometimes, something like that, okay? But pre-recorded lecture will usually be generally less than, total is less than a class amount, because in the class we take attendance, we take breaks, and then we do discussions and all that. With pre-recorded, it's just me talking. So essentially, it's a fully condensed version of me talking. So it will usually be around 100 to 150 minutes, depending on the amount of material that we are going through. Okay. So yeah, so after today's class, there will be some pre-recorded, because scope management, it will take about 2 LUs, so it will take about 6 hours at least to finish. But we've only got one class today because we finished early last week. So there will be some additional information that I will need to continue to give you, and that will be through pre-recorded. But don't worry, just a preview of what we're doing today and the next week. And Yeah, so I can give you pre-recorded because for the next few weeks, you guys are not attending any more project management class until end of November. So there's plenty of time for you to go through those pre-recorded lecture. So I hope you guys take it seriously because pre-recorded lecture are not there for fun. Okay, they are not there because of I want to talk more, and give you more. It's not like that. Pre-recorded lecture essentially are lectures that you have to attend. It's one of the LUs. If you don't attend, you don't go through those pre-recorded lectures, there will be questions that is based on them in exams. You need information there for you to do your assignment and project and all that. Then you'll be missing out a lot of things. So pre-recorded is really a mandatory for you to listen to, okay? Yeah, so it's part and parcel of the class as well. Right, so that is the gist of things. Yeah, so I've already posted some notes from fundamentals, which is LU1, and I've already posted today's notes as well on LU2, and I'll post again extra notes, more notes, the following notes on LU3. So basically LU1 to LU3 will be completing scope management, okay? And that is the plan. Okay, and so when Dr. Lee comes in, she's going to go straight to resources management, work breakdown structure, resources management. Yeah, and that one will be a physical class at that time. Okay. All right. So any questions so far? Anything that you need me to clarify? But for the old, some of you who are the old bird here, you guys know my style. You guys know what to do. So new people, I'm trying to brief here. There are some, I think three now, and three or four new people who are registering or just registered. So I hope you know what I'm talking about. If you are not clear or if you're confused or where to look for things and all that, by all means, we have the WhatsApp group. You can WhatsApp me personally if you want to, or you can WhatsApp me through the group and ask me, or where is the notes, or where is the class recording and all that. Is it okay? Like this, you can always ask me questions to clarify. It's not an issue, okay? Like I said, the old people knows what to do because you've gone through maybe policy management with me before, you've gone through legislative and contract management with me before, so no big deal. You know what I'm talking about, huh? Okay. So last week we've already touched on scope management. I've already given you an overview of scope management, which is in the project life cycle. So as we move through the project life cycle, the whole project life cycle is to produce that particular product we want, from the needs and demands all the way to conceptual, development of the project, development of the work, and then doing work breakdown. From work breakdown, then we will move into design, tendering, procurement, tendering is procurement, and then after that move on to construction, design, construction, and all building or supply or materialization, of the product that you are looking at, okay? Or to construct or build or to materialize or realize the product that you are looking. Okay, and then in the end you get the product, okay, or you get the facilities, or you get that infrastructure, or you get that product in terms of development, or in terms of houses, in terms of buildings, in terms of bridges, or in terms of treatment plant, in terms of mechanical turbine, or hydropower plant, in terms of transmission, communication, telecommunication lines, and all that kind of stuff. Okay, so we are looking at the product. Okay, so we went through that quickly that day, okay, just to tell you the relationship between project lifecycle and scope management. In fact, every step of the project lifecycle, we are going towards that product. We're going towards that scope, okay? We want to fulfill that scope, okay? And so what is actually scope? Scope of a project, okay, is basically what needs to be done. It's basically the product itself, is the product, is the final outcomes, whether it's a submarine, whether it's going to Mars, or whether it's going to build a new technology to go underground, to go under the sea, to do treasure hunts, or to look for or to look for MH370, that is the final outcome. So basically, we need to define the final outcome. it's very important, because if we don't define the final outcome, we basically don't know what we're delivering, or we're not sure about what we're delivering. And the worst thing about when you're not sure about what you're delivering, everybody's kind of guessing what you're going to deliver, or everybody is going to assume that what is going to be delivered. I'm a client, I think that it's going to look like that, and you as a designer, you think it's going to look like that, and then as a contractor, as a builder, as a supplier, as a deliverable, as a delivering person, you think it's like that, so we all have our own ideas, so that is not a good thing, so there must be a synchronized way of everybody, we are looking at the same thing, we are all looking at delivering that particular product, so therefore it's very important for you to look to really finalize on what you are delivering at the end of the day. Okay, and scope is basically the end product plus all the work that is required to work towards it, and make it into reality. But to be a bit less confusing, normally I would say I would take scope as the product itself, and scope of works as the work that is required to do the product. Okay, so it is okay. It's just a matter of definition. Some people like to define it a little bit more specifically, like me. Some people can, encompass it very generally, like scope of a project comprises of a combination of the end products of the project, or the product that you're going to produce, or deliverables that you're going to deliver, and the work that are required to produce them. So scope of project is basically scope plus scope of works, okay, to most definition. But I think if you want to be a bit more, make yourself less confused, then it's fine. Scope is basically the product itself and all the components and subcomponents that needs to be delivered. And then the work that needs to be done in order to produce that particular item or particular product is basically the scope of works, okay? And scope management is a very long running thing, as you move along, you're doing scope management. So scope management will start off from the initial need, demands, and basically the initial justification of why this product is necessary, why you need to start this. Because as you start a project, if you want to build a product, you're going to get something, it is a lot of effort. Do nothing is always nice, you see. But to do something is always a lot of planning, organizing, a lot of execution, a lot of coordinating, a lot of material, a lot of money, a lot of resources that needs to be used to bring about the final completion of the product. So it's very important that we justify, why do we need this? Why is it important that we do this? See, and that one is part of very first initial part of the scope management. And then of course, then we will go in, and define the product itself, and then we will define the components of the product, the different subcomponents of the product. Okay, and then we will continue on and define what needs to be done, you see, because what needs to be done is a part that will be dealing with a lot very closely related to procurement. You see, so what needs to be done has to be done by somebody, some company. So procurement is about getting somebody to build it or getting things ready, organized, and to execute the construction, or to execute the building, or to execute the delivery. So basically, it has to be done by a group of people, okay? And that is the designer plus the builder or designer, or, plus the facilitators, and the people who are going to do the work, you see? And that itself, will require management. So from the work, so then we need to know what needs to be done, okay? And what are the works that needs to be done. There are some tools, there's some techniques that is available, in order to build that scope of works, okay? And then, of course, the actual execution, So you see management processes from planning to organizing to execution. So execution is usually where the factory is running, producing the product, material is here, it's being poured into the mold, it's being melted, it's being done, for construction, cars are driven, buildings are built, concrete are poured, bars are bent, formwork are made, and then curing, and then after that you need to do the truss, fabricate, roof, etc., etc. And then you need to dig the ground, you need to do earthwork, you need to do ground testing, you need to do geotechnical protection, you need to do slope protection, you need to do drainage, you need to test, you need to do pipes, you need to fix pipe, install, dig, excavate, backfill. You see, all this, you see the word that I'm using here, all of them are what? All of them are verbs. Okay, so these are the verb. This is the work that you do. Okay, so the fundamental is to come up with that scope, come up with that. What is the product? What first? After that, you're going to define the so the outcome, and then in between, work that needs to be done, and then the processes to make it happen, including the work itself, the work itself, the outcome. This is the product, this is the work, and these are the management processes. So these three has to be there, to deliver the final outcome, to deliver the product that we want. Okay. So like I said, if the scope is insufficiently defined, meaning that something is missed out, or everybody have their own mentality, own perception about what the final product is, then you're going to have a lot of legal and contractual issues, because every project, when you're building something, it takes money, it takes effort, it takes resources, and the moment that there is delay or wastage or cost overrun, or standards not being fulfilled, or building something wrongly, this is not what what the client wants, or it's not fulfilling the design. These are all very serious problems, and all this will in the end lead to a very serious issue, like going to court, going to dispute, by or being sued for not being able to deliver, etc., etc. So management is very important, because it really is the whole process about delivering that particular product itself. Okay, and so usually PMI, Project Management Institute, in the project management scope management knowledge, we talk about scope planning, scope definition, scope WBS, verification and control. Okay, and these are the steps that they recommend. Okay, so for me, as we look at the project life cycle, we go in at the initial stage of the project life cycle, which the needs and demands, all the way to completion of the product and handover and deliver and being put to use the facilities. So the actual delivering, the actual outcome, throughout this project life cycle, I basically define, like in a way, with my like I like to break it down this way, so that in terms of academically, I think it's easier for students to understand the process. Otherwise, if it's too theoretical, like a lot of theory about the idea of scope and management and all that, it can get a bit confusing. Basically, I think when we know what needs to be done, we can do it, and we can control, we can monitor, we can work on it, we can actually execute, we can plan. That one is already managing. So we don't really need, like a very deep academic notes and structure and all that kind of thing, long lecture on what are the different terminologies and different theory on scope management. We just want to be very practical, and I think many of you who are actually working out there, you would be preferring it to be practical rather than, the idea of masters by coursework is about practicality, is about application. It's not so much about in-depth knowledge, in-depth body of knowledge. It's a body of knowledge and theory and all that. I can dig out a lot of literature. I can dig out a lot of theories. And we can all go through that theory for the next 6 hours, and everybody will be sleeping and don't learn anything out of it anyway. Okay, so if you look at the whole project life cycle, where do you start? You start from needs and ideas. So basically, for scope management, we will look at what we call scope initiation. Okay, so scope planning, if you look at the word planning, organizing, execution, monitoring, and controlling, management follows this. So scope management also follows this. So basically, scope planning means that you need to start somewhere. Okay, so initiation, so the needs and demands that initiate the project. It can be the idea, it can be real human being need to progress or market, demands and market and public, your audience, who has that need, who has that demand, will actually start the project. Okay, then so it, project can be from different sources. You can have government infrastructure, so you have a client group who actually needs this project. So or the user client, or we call them, like I said that day, we generally would call them client. So client can be your public, it can be your end users. They may not be the one that pays you, and of course there will be a group of people who pays you, so they are the pay master. Okay, so they will be your employer, basically. I mean, when they pay you, I prefer you use the word employer. Generally, if everybody who is going to be using your product and be at the beneficial end of your product or be affected by your product, they are basically your client. Okay, so client can be the sponsoring organization. They could be the organization with the need. There could be the organization of a group of people or a group of audience, a group of individuals who actually has a specific demand. Okay, and they have the need to use the project in some way. So where does need and demand come from? Okay, so it usually be from some organization, a group of people. It could be from new development of the science, like maybe a company that their R&D just came up with a new makeup item, that needs mass production, new colors, new fashion, new baju punya line, and then it can be from customer feedback, okay, let's make it better. Then you have generation 1, generation 2, like handphone like that, Apple 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, I don't know. Now it's Apple 15 or 16? Okay, so that one is market customer feedback, improvement that is being made. And some of them is really fashion, really, really the fashionable items, fashionable things, fashion, latest item that people wants to own. What are the latest item people want to own? I guess it's Labubu, isn't it? I don't know, or am I out of date already? Labubu is already old. Okay, I mean, I've been like seeing a lot of Labubus going around. Okay, so I guess you see these are trends, fashion, made popular by some people, you see, and then everybody go crazy over it. So it's a business opportunity. So there's a new item that is on the market, and you need mass production, you need more design, you need more version, you need more concept, etc. Okay, so sometimes ideas can also come from contact with people. I think so, because from my experience as an engineer and also design engineer, a lot of my ideas usually sometimes come from, the needs and demand can come from certain people, certain things, looking at certain things, and it's, hey, why don't we do that? The other day I was looking at some videos, and they're talking about not having any more school canteen, not having any more people cooking. Like, as in, you don't, how, not sure about you, but in my days, the canteen, you've got this auntie, uncle always sitting there cooking, and then the, bowls and bowls of noodles and laksas and whatever, and then during recess time, children will go and queue up and buy and all that. And, there was this saying that, we'll probably be going towards more of a touchless, more of a less human contact kind of way of doing canteen, which is by something like a vending machine sort of things. And I thought was like, hey, interesting, it's also we got all the food just like Japan, Japan is still serving their food, on plates and canteens, but it's going to be like bento boxes that is you put in. I mean, like Japan in the train station and all that, they would have like if you're going on a long journey, they will have certain bento boxes with the veggie and everything, all picked up, and then you just have to buy the bento box. So this is like, vending machine for food. So kids don't have to really queue up in a way. And there'll be more even distribution of the food. Not to say that, oh, auntie didn't give me enough, So they were talking about how this idea, would it be a good idea, because it does reduce a lot of human touch in a lot of things, meaning that last time when you buy from the school canteen, basically the people there cooking, and then recess time, they see you, you see them. There's a lot of human contacts and all that. But with vending machine, it's probably a lot more convenient. It's probably more hygienic and it's less cleaning to do. But there's a lesson of human contact, so it's like kind of interesting. So is it like something like that, is a birth of a new idea? Okay, then you will have projects constructing special vending machine, designing special vending machine, marketing it to schools, and changing all the traditional way of doing things into a new mode of doing things. So there's a lot of sources of where ideas come from. So in engineering, like I say, plenty, okay? And sometimes it could be market survey, okay? It could be a direct request, the direct need that is very obvious, such as, you live in a house that is for 20 years already. Last time only got nenek, datuk, mama, papa, and then now got kids, now got 3-4 generations staying in the old house. So your grandpa or your dad is going to renovate the house. So therefore, there's a real need for the project, and there's a new need for expansion of the property, or buying another house next door and renovate it into one houses, etc. So these are all birth of projects, birth of ideas. I mean, the ideas give birth to the subsequent projects, etc. So of course, there's individual needs, like own company R&D. Some of them do projects because of CSR. Some people do project because of these new regulations, government new regulations, new company new objectives, new business line and all that. So it can be from individual, can be from external. So you need to understand who initiates the project. My slide is actually do move, so I'm actually on the third or fourth page now, which is on, so if it's not moving, then let me know. Or sometimes it's not moving because I'm not moving it. Okay, but yeah, you can see the slide. I mean, you can see the notes, Can Okay, can or not? Am I talking? Yeah, I'm talking. Yeah. Not muted, right? Can. To give me some response, I know Saturday afternoon we all are very sleepy, and then yeah, I'm trying to open our eyes wide, and the more I talk, the more I make myself fall asleep. So I hope that you are not sleeping as well. Okay, and yeah. So what happened is so we have to understand the idea, the birth, where, and all that. Then after that, we are going to the next stage, which is a very important stage, which is looking at the project environment, what we call project environment scan. Okay. So project environment scan is essentially, there are methods of doing it. There's two way of studying it. Actually, it's the same. I mean, like it's a combination of both. Okay. The first one is to look at the issue that is surrounding the project. Okay. Because issue surrounding a project will form a basis for the later assessments. So issue analysis is more like just to pick up issue and filter them and see whether those issues can stay in the project environment, whether it really is an important issue or not. Okay, that is the aim of why we do issue analysis and management. Okay, so depending on the outcome, and the idea. Okay, so now we're at the idea stage, and we have this problem, and we've got these ideas, and there's a market study that shows that there is a need for this, like what I say just now, there's a new idea or needs for vending for all lunch dispensing vending machine in schools, so about less contact, about prevention of COVID, that kind of things, of flu, influenza, and all that. So cleanliness, hygiene. So there is some needs, and this need also will come with the reason for it, and then anything that can affect it, such as, like I said, like let's say the vending machine idea. So it's about less contact with people so that you can be more hygienic, there'll be less cleaning, shorten the time of preparation, and the preparation is prepared in another environment that's a bit more close up and also open, so it's less susceptible to germs, and less dependable on human being mood and feelings and all that. So things can be a little bit more controlled, So these are the factors that is going to be affecting the decision. So for affecting whether this particular needs is reliable, whether it's logical, whether it's possible, whether it's feasible, whether it's really can be done, whether it's possible or not, viable, you see? Okay, so essentially, you need to define, you need to see, there are things that will affect the idea, and the idea will affect some things. So these are usually what we about in issue management or issue analysis. So we want to look at the project environment and see if anything there that can really affect this idea itself. Okay, and they could come in many directions. You start off with identifying those issues. Okay, and some issues are very obvious, is there. So let's say if there is a flooding problem, the issue is flood. Okay, the issue is weather change. The issue is weather condition. The issue is the current capacity of the current drainage system. The issue is the network of the drainage systems. So issues can come in many areas, such as technical, such as economics, such as the organization itself, such as logistics, such as the geographical condition, such as the ground condition, or some uncontrollable decision like, uncontrollable issues such as national issues like economics, like law, like regulation, so many aspects. Okay, so you need to identify those issues first. Some issues are very obvious, it's highly easy, it's very obvious, it's very visible. Some remains very hidden, but it actually have a relationship with the other issue or with the potential project itself, which is the need. We are looking at the need and demand at the moment, okay, and then we identify those issues around it, that can cause it to either move or not move in a way. Okay, so some issues are very fashionable. Some issue after a while it is not. Some issues are very emotive, and emotive means that it deals with a lot of people's attention, it deals a lot with very sad, like feelings, like very angry. And I think for the past few weeks, I think we're all very concerned over the school issues that we're having. So that is a very emotive kind of issue. Okay, security, children, about mental health, and about social support, about counseling, so these are very emotive kind of issues. And then when we see animals being killed, people being hurt, and there's a fire, and then some people get injured, some people lost their home. So some issues are very easily triggered into very, very a lot of anger, a lot of negativity. And when we look at issues like that, the the point about the idea, the demand and the needs itself, at that time, it may not be a suitable time to actually digest it as well. So we need to know that, if this is it's going to be something that can gain a lot of public attention, such as like, environmental issues like flora, fauna, and then you've got this orangutan that is being killed, or, you've got this baby orangutan that has no mommy, that kind of thing, because of mega development or major deforestation, So those sort of issues sometimes can create, if you want to have an idea that is have something to do with that, later on, it can get very embroiled in a very difficult environment in a way. And things people get very angry over you, or like try to stop you from proceeding and all that. So it is not you just have to be very careful lah. I'm just saying that issues can have many types lah. Some is a global thing, some of it is very localized, maybe to Sarawak or Kuching itself. Some is a very national thing like in Malaysia. So the school issue is probably a very whole state kind of thing, like whole Malaysia kind of thing. It's not just Sarawak, or it's just not that one Selangor itself. It's just going to be very real widespread kind of issue. Some of it is very emotive, like maybe introducing security, introducing scanning and all that, a new item into the school, or the school installing certain, things and all that. That can be, that, when you have at least an idea that stems from certain cases, certain issues or whatever, you need to study the issues around it. Okay. And some issues are very fashionable, like I said, fashionable issues like come and go, once in a while, when you see some documentary, it's the hottest thing, it's a penguin, then you go, oh yeah, penguin, the Antarctica ice melting kind of issues, So it can be a very fashionable issues, but after a while, people kind of forget about it. Bad economy can be a very fashionable issues, like economic downturn, Black Friday, Asian financial crisis. These are all very those are very economic issues, social issues. Some of these are actually very fashionable. After a while, it goes away. Global issues like that can affect idea will actually jalan or not, or whether it's the idea itself is going to be workable or not. You see, and so when we have issues and when we look at the idea and demand, needs, idea and demand, okay, centralized to that's project itself, okay, but itself is only needs an idea like at this point in time, not developed yet, so we have to study the issues first, identify those issues surrounding the project, and I have a very specific way of doing that, so which is by project environment scan. So this is what I would suggest that all people who are in the earlier part of decision making and scope initiation, whether you are in JKR, whether you are in State Planning Authority, or whether you're from JBAP or Sarawak Waters, DID, and any government agency, SEB, private agency developer, you try to use when you initiate scope. So the center of this is actually issues. I mean, this is not issue, this is the project itself. So when you put your needs and idea here, okay, or your problem or issues here, problems here that you're facing that creates that particular need and demand, the first layer surrounding it will be the issues that are directly related to the project, is such as the client themselves, okay, their manpower, their capacities, their resources, they have the money or not. So these are very uh, direct issues, that is related to, that will affect the project, or the project will affect those issues. So it could be the local designer, it could be the design standard, it could be the organization, it could be directly like the actual site itself, where is it, the logistic, the geographical factor. So things that is really right at the door, right at the first layer, that wrap up, that is nearest to the project. So I usually call it project related issue. Okay. Then you will have the second layer. Okay, you brainstorm and think of issues that are more on the localized format. Like maybe the state, the authority, the DIDs, the Sarawak Waters, the people who are actually the group of people who were actually the economic of Sarawak, the funding of the state, the local government agency that supports the public that will actually be affected by the project itself, the end users, and what is the public sentiments, and the culture, the along the way, are you popping out some trees, certain heritage plants or heritage buildings may be affected. Some religious places may be affected by the project. So we call it, this second layer are really what we call localized issue. Okay, and this layer outside here is going to be the national and global issue, national and beyond. So Malaysians acts, OSHA acts, environmental acts, and the interest rate, banking interest rate, foreign exchange, war, economy that is dealing with war, Trump tariffs, then relationship between China and US, and ASEAN meeting up, US president coming next week. These are all the things that is very, very a bit far from your project, okay, a bit far from your project, but they are related. Some of this decision making that will be done at certain times will actually affect the law, affect the regulations, and affect the economy, affect foreign investments, affect whether you're going to have funding or not. So these are the external, I won't call it external, but it's going to be a more of a national and beyond kind of issues, global and national issues. So these are more of a localized issue that is dealing with, the nearest places. I mean, like where let's say if you're in Muka, this is going to be like, things that is related to Sarawak, things that are related to the state, the area, the district, the province that you are in, for example. And then this is the projects, the project issues is with all the stakeholders, the direct stakeholders itself, that is affected by the project. So this is like a 3-layer technique that I always recommend to students to use when you want to do an issue analysis, because all the issues here, you're going to fill up all the blanks. You try to fill up as many places as you can. Okay, and then you can segmentalize it as well. Segmentalize it meaning that you can have like what we call economic issue, and then we can call it like law and regulation, social, health, occupational health and safety, environmental, and then legal regulations, public and heritage, culture, identity. So this you can flow by that, and you can set yourself some form of guidelines in that way lah. Like you say, you can segmentalize it diagonally. I mean, you can segmentalize it or you can layer it. So this way is easier. So then when you're talking about social issue, there is social issue, project related social issue, local related social issues, and national related global issues. So you can go outward in that way based on that segment. So we can cross section it, you see, and we can cross section it. We can actually 2D it in that sense. Now this is like maybe 2D it. I mean, I don't know what kind of West you use 2D. Yeah, I think they're so smart. Cross sectional, and yeah, longitudinal and cross sectional kind of thing. Longitudinal, I will always like to apply it when it comes to time. So if you have a longitudinal section, then it's going to be over a long period of time or a long area or big area. So this is longitudinal, and then when we talk about cross section is always at that one point in time. So this one, yeah, we can call it like segments. We can segmentalize it. We can cross sectionally, and then we can also cross section it in 2 or 3 ways. You see, so whatever that we are looking at here is essentially what we call a plan view. So plan view is usually what we call a system way of thinking. It's a systematic way of looking at the project environment. So system thinking, okay, about thinking that we have is actually more on compartmentalizing things and compositioning things. Okay, so when we look at something from above the ground towards the thing, we're looking at what we call a bird eye view, a higher ground of looking at things, and a higher ground of studying all the issues, and this is what we call system thinking. So if you look at the method of system thinking, then we're trying to pull ourselves away from the idea, from the location, and looking at it from the top, see the overall view. So this is what we're doing, to see the overall of a project. So if you are just like compartmentalizing or decompositioning it, then this way of looking at things will be a bit more constrained to certain segments and certain compartmentalization. So when you look at the bird eye view, we're talking about 3 layers plus different segments. So this is a better technique in that sense. So see some of these issues here. These environmental scan, so it's controllable, meaning that these are the project related issues, the local roads, the organization itself, the where exactly which state the project related itself. Then you have the influenceable, meaning that the localized issue, and then you can have the bigger issue, such as global issues, such as society. But what is uncontrollable, like whether you can control it, whether there's government healthcare plane can go in or not, how to deliver, these are things that if it's very project related, it's inside here. But if it's generally policies, regulations and all that, is usually outside here. Like bank, economic factor, inflation and unemployment, interest rate, energy price. You see, these are all external issues, like petrol price, energy prices, and government policies, government new budgets. These are all external. It can be here or here. Like I said, national and beyond, we usually put it outside here. This is state and authority and localized issues. Okay, and then these are more of the project issues. Okay, project issues. So Then you segmentalize it in technology, infrastructural, physical, political, social, finance, economics, you can split up into more like cultural, heritage, legal. I would put it more. Okay, legal is here. Sorry, political and legal is here. Technological, technical. These are one of the very, very big pie. Technically, are you doable? Do you have a localized people to do it? Do you have local consultant, or do you need to import consultant from overseas? And these are very project related issues. And then with the technology, technical things, influenceable, the code, DS code, Euro code, these are all project localized issues. And then in terms of technical international standards, ISO, these are all very national kind of issues. Do you guys get the picture? So what I'm saying is in your, at the end of the day, this is the tools, we can use, in order to do your project environment scan, in order to define the issues that you may face with the project. Okay? Or issues that you have within the project itself, or that you may face for the idea and the project to jadi or not jadi. Okay? And we also try to, system thinking also try to link, the issues to issues, such as this is interrelated between issues, and this is pointing in and out from the project, means that it will affect the project and the project will affect it, or it can be to and fro. So the arrow can be two-sided. Okay, the arrow can have very thick lines, it can have very thin lines, it can also have dotted lines. So dotted lines normally means that the influence is not strong. And when we have medium line, it usually means that it will affect the project. On a very thick line, it will be very, very important. It's very critical. And when you have double-headed, it means that they influence one another. And when you have only single-headed, then that single arrowhead, then it means that what things will affect the project and what project will affect that thing. So you need to do this analysis. Okay. So project issue is basically identified, then you define it, and then you also filter it as well. Okay, you filter it. Some of these issues are really important, so you kind of like tray it, you put it in different trays. And some issue can be ignored, maybe. If it's those are very light dotted line thing, it can be, it can be ignored, it can be passed, it can be mitigated. Some of it has to be dealt with, some of it has to be dealt with in the design, some of it has to be dealt with, some of it will affect the cost of the project, some of it will affect the idea itself, some of it is probably okay and you can just let it go. So you can filter the issues first, identify, filter the issues, then you're going to have that project environment scan. So with the issue all fully defined, we can proceed to do EIA. Okay, so a lot of you assume that EIA is actually NREB thing. NREB call it EIA too. They call it environmental impact assessment, whereby they do a lot of this pollution, water quality, they do these assessments on the flora, fauna, animals, biological condition, erosion, water flow. So EIA, when they do it in NREB, is actually more on the environmental issue, like those that is really related to the environment, ecological issue. Okay, but when we talk about project environment scan, we are essentially doing EIA. We are actually assessing those issues. Okay, we're actually assessing those issues. We're actually studying it further. Okay, and to grade it in a way, to see whether it does affect the issues or not. So at the end of the day, what is the extent of the damage, and how does that cause the project, and what can be done about them. See, and essentially, it is deadlines that we're talking about. Okay, so my technique is to use this sort of line. So you can define issue analysis. You define, you put them in all the right category. You draw your project environment scan, and then issue analysis. You just define them. You put them all inside here. Then what you do is with EIA. I'm trying to be very simple here, I mean, in a way, sometimes you talk so much, and it's so theoretical. At the end of the day, students are like, what am I supposed to do about it? Well, you essentially just make a few lines, that is the simplest way of doing things. This is very pictorial, very easy to look at, very easy to digest. Put in lines, and this is what we do with the EIA. Put them in all the right category, and then start to answer those questions. How is my project affected by that particular issue? Okay, and how my issue will affect that project. So if let's say this segment, we are talking about environment. Okay, these segments are EIA, sorry, the whole thing is you are doing EIA. But let's say we talk about environment. Okay, so with the project, then you're looking at the very core of the project, how the project will affect the slope, around the project, how you're going to affect the rainfall and runoff, how you're going to, like, sudstorm and all this. These are all very localized issue. I mean, sorry, not localized issue. It's a very project related issue. It will affect the current soil. It will affect the, when you build something on, when the ground has nothing, it's only grass and soil. When rainfall comes, it will actually be seeped into the ground, and then it will be run off to the nearby river or nearby drainage systems that is naturally there, But when you build something, okay, so I'm sure for those of you working for DID, when you build something, you're turning this ground and these trees and roots and everything, you're pulling out those things. Okay, so your project will affect the current ground, the current water, groundwater, water level, catchment, you see, and it will form a new catchment, and that itself will make the area behave differently. So this directly, the project itself will affect and be affected by the local condition, by the surrounding, the direct surrounding of the idea and or the project itself. And then when it comes to this layer, it's like the localized Sarawak government regulation towards rainfall runoff, towards designing of drains, you see, towards sudstorm, towards OSD, towards on-site detention pond. Okay, and then these are global, weather, rainfall. These are the issues that will be affected, with particular project here. Let's say this is a drainage project or a flooding issue. So direct flash flood, these are all direct, second layer, third layer. So we list down those issues, and these are the issue analysis. So you filter them, categorize them, you put them in the right segments, Then when you come to EIA, you need to answer whether this is a very critical issue. So you define it with thick lines. If it's a very critical issue, you define it with very, very thick lines. So it brings attention that the project itself will actually be affected by so this is thick lines, you see. So if we have that in a pictorial form, is that particular issue, this is the issue here, it will have a very strong issue, okay, towards that. It will have a strong relationship it will affect. What is affecting the issue? Inwards is being affected by the issue. Okay, so if you have this line here that is affecting the project, then this is middle line. So this is going to be definitely there will be some form of impact. Okay, and this one will impact or affect. And this one is dotted line means that it will have some or minor impact on the idea on the project. So this is what we do with EIA. We look at all the issues around. So even if you are next time doing an EIA writing up, okay, I'm sure you have learned it from all your project environment classes. So when you're doing EIA, when you're writing EIA, when you're compiling these sort of things, EMP, EIA, this technique actually can be used as well. It's about impact assessments. It's that simple in a way, okay? And how strong is the impact? How is it impact upwards or impact inwards, or is it a double impact? Or is it to and fro, double arrow impact? Are we like holding on? Are we getting it? Okay. All right. So yeah, so when you do your it's the keyword is impact. Okay, impact assessments, impact studies. Okay, so some of these are to fulfill some authorities requirement like NREB the environmental factors then some of it, you are looking at other things like economic, social, political, legal, and all that. And then, you study those issues. Okay, so the name of this thing can be called impact study, impact statement, impact assessment, impact analysis. So what is EIA? EIA is a process of orderly and systematically evaluating the proposal, including alternative, objective, and effect on the environment, okay? On the project environment, okay, and how the project environment actually affects it as well. So the extent of the impact, okay, the issues have over the project and how the project have over the issues, and some of this impact can be actually related to other impact as well. Other issues as well. So then we're looking at how serious it is. So in order to study a project legal environment of infrastructure, so you need to look at the physical environment, which is the authority and the regulation. You need to look at the regional authority, which is this is like maybe the first layer, second layer, third layer, okay? And then if you want to build a road, you want to build a treatment plant, you want to build a highway, railway, these are all infrastructure projects. Then, when we just look at the authority itself, then you have some is very, very central to the project, like maybe the salt water, salt water, it could be cooking water board, that could be Cebu water board, that could be Laku Miri, depending on the area itself. So then the external one will be like the second layer will be the overall water regulations. In Sarawak, the Ministry of Energy and Utilities or is it Ministry of Rural Water Supply, or what rural development, not rural water supply, rural development, for example. So again, it's moving further away from the project itself. And then in the national level, there are maybe water code, water research, water assessments, like all these international standards and guidelines about sustainability. And now we've got the ESG for environmental sustainability and governance. So you see, it will be a bit further, but you can see that with ESG, it's on a third layer. But when you have project that is related to infrastructure or to things that affect the environment and sustainability, ESG principles and policies and all that will now slowly affect the project itself or the idea itself, whether it is a doable idea, whether it's going to be allowed or not, even it will be affected by ESG, for example. Okay, so and this is like the layering, so the impact itself. Okay, so with different projects, like I said, the focus can be different. Some projects maybe don't have so much of financial issues, and some projects maybe have a lot of environmental issue, like for example, melting, weather change, or flooding, rains, and think the ecological systems in the area, and this is maybe wetland, and you affect a lot of the habitats of the animals and the behavior of the animals as well. So depending on the project, that's what I'm trying to say. Depending on the project, some project it may have a very big impact, some may not. So you need to be able to study it very carefully depending on the project. So this is like to assess project environment. Okay, environment. Okay, and one of the easiest way, like what you're trying to seek here, is what will happen as a result. What will the project impact? And what is the impact of that change? And is it really important? Is it really matter? And what can we do about them? And what can the decision maker do about them? And the other way around, what can affect the project? To what extent it can affect the project and the idea? And what are the changes necessary to make it possible? And what can we do about those issues? And item, and then like what can the current rules and regulations do in order to constrain or in order to improve on that project. So it's a to and fro thing. So I always like to have that, like you answer these questions based on to and fro, meaning that there are some that will be affected by the project, some that will be affecting the project itself. So you need to look at both sides when you're doing the environmental impact assessments. Okay? Then from there, so these are some of the theory of EIA, principles of EIA, but the outcome is basically scanning this environment. Are you guys okay? Okay, so when we finish that environment scan and doing the EIA, okay, and all the assessments, it basically will mean that what is the need. You already answer the need. You already have some basic important information about the project and the surrounding and the site and the location and maybe some regulations, understanding about the authorities and also the current sentiments about projects like this. So in the end, what is the outcome here? From the project environment scan. The project environment scan makes us as engineer really, really understand the issues and the environment that our project will be in. Okay, and therefore, whether this idea, or this demand, or this need is actually workable. Okay, can it be solved? What is the solution? What is the best solution based on this project environment? This is a scan. This is the data. Okay, so at this very early stage, we can call it a conceptual report. We can call it a conceptual report. Okay, but this conceptual report is a very early stage whereby you're just listing down the project requirement, understanding the issues, and doing the impact assessments, and then to fully understand the project and describe the project environment. Then after that, the outcome of it is what needs to be built, what needs to be done. So this need already there, we already studied it. got all the requirement, the client's requirement, the technological, environmental, whatever, impact and issues. Yeah, yeah, it's all there. We understand this is the project. We understand our environment very well. Okay. So, and the outcome of it is, okay, now what are we going to do? So it's a final product that we're developing here. So yes, we have to build a road. Okay. Yes, so we have to build a bridge. Oh yes, we have to build a new jetty or new wall. Or this is a new treatment plant that is necessary. We need to open a new factory lines. Okay. And we need to expand our business to another department. We need to have a new product in order to cater for, in order to become competitive. Okay, and this is a solution. We already have an idea what are we going to build basically, what are we going to materialize basically. That is all we need to do here at this point in time. So from the project environment, you are actually producing what we call a project charter. Okay, and that project charter basically describe the product itself. It describes what are we looking at now? Are we looking at constructing a new road? Are we looking at developing a new department? Are we going to open a new R&D line? Are we going to send some people to save the environment? What is it that we are doing? What is it that we are? What is the solution basically? So the project charter will list down all these project environment scans, got all this study that is done, and then and then we will have what is the owner's requirement, what is the idea. We sit down, we meet the mind of the client and all that. So this may sound like a very long process, but actually when we study and we collect information, these are all the initial information that we are collecting. So at this stage here, we're conceptualizing the project with a project charter, which is basically the item itself that we are, the solution itself that we are building. Okay? So once we've got that out of the way, okay, we are going in and plan the scope now. So once you know the product, so you specify the product, you specify the you specify the product, you specify the idea, not idea, we already passed the idea, you specify the solution. Okay, so maybe I can put the word here, solution, okay, or the product itself. So it could be like a new departmental restructuring, it can be a new product line, it can be a new research, it can be a new submarine, it can be like building a new machine to go to Mars, it can be a new bridge, a new road, a whole new development, or recreation park, something like that. Okay, so we've already got that. Scope planning now is that you are going down and actually trying to define. You're trying to go and decompose it to the smaller components, the smaller details, subcomponents. Okay, so we are trying to develop the product here. Okay, so it's about more components. You're trying to look at the different components now. So if you build road, is it going to be, the option can be a 2-lane, can be a 3-lane, not 3-lane, 2 lanes or 4 lanes, or 8 lanes, or 6 lanes maybe, I don't know, can be 6 lanes, yeah. Okay. So if you build a bridge, is it going to be a bridge, like how far, how big, is it going to be 2-lane? Is there any other options? What other options are there? Can we just like build a walking bridge, or is it going to be a car-driven bridge? You need to define it. So there will be component and subcomponents definition here that we are looking at. So the best thing that we can do is what we call project breakdown, whereby product breakdown, whereby you are breaking down, you are decompositioning the product into components and subcomponents. Okay? So we are deconstructing it into major parts lah. So I think it's quite easy to understand to me, yeah, because I think it should be not that difficult to understand. Okay, so essentially, what you need to do is once you got your project charter, then looking at the project information again that you've collected, you decompose your product to smaller components. Okay, so we are examining the project itself now and try to break it down or decompose it or deconstruct it into smaller parts and smaller parts lah, not activities lah, parts or smaller sections of smaller components, smaller deliverables. So if let's say your new product is a new television, okay, so then you're decomposing it. My product is a new high D or high, some invisible AI TV kind of thing, then there will be, you need to decompose it. There'll be part that is on the mechanical, electrical. There will be the part that is on the hardware, and then the hardware, whether a screen, whether there's frames, whether there is a projection, and then the hardware part will be the software part will be the AI guy, or robotic arms guy, or the automation systems guy. So that you need to decompose it. So the key word here is you are decomposing it, or you are deconstructing it into product breakdown. So one of the easiest tools that you do is do your product breakdown. So you have the first layer on the top that is a product, and then you break it down into major components, and then you break the major components down into subcomponents. It's just that when you break down a car is a car. So then you've got the frame, the material, the tire, engines, from the engines, and into these 5 or 6 or 7 major components, and then after that you decompose into smaller components. Okay, so that is what we do with what we call a scope statement. So basically, the output here is all part and parcel, okay, of what we call a conceptual report normally. You understand? There's it's just part and parcel of the component, but in your conceptual report, there are many sections. So the first section is how you arrive at the product. And then this section now is about how you arrive at the component and subcomponent. Okay, so basically we're trying to describe, what is the description, what is the requirement, what are the deliverables, what is the criteria, what are the constraints, what is the assumptions that we can make. These are some ideas about your scope statement, usually. So it's about description of those components and subcomponents. You can also, at this stage also, you will also have some cost estimation and also some time definition about how long to construct it at the end of the day, and then how much it would take. But this one here, when we talk about costing, normally we would not use a very refined technique to do the costing. This is the conceptual stage whereby you probably just have to use, maybe what we call parametric, or we call the early ones like analogy estimates and all that. To do the parametric is probably possible. So when we reach the cost management bit, I'll tell you what to do. We'll go through all the steps about parametric and all that, but just be careful. I'm going to link the topics together in that sense. So at this stage, when you're preparing the scope statement, when you're preparing the assumptions, the constraints, and all these sort of things, then you are actually looking at costing. It's very essential, because if you don't look at the costing, you will not be able to look at the other section, which is the funding. Okay, so we need to know how much does it cost to build something like this. So analogy and parametric, especially when you have components and subcomponents. When you have an analogy estimate, usually you apply it to the project charter. Project charter is the product itself. So then the analogy estimate is good. Then if you actually flow in and do, you have subcomponents and components, then it's easier now to do parametric estimates, because parametric estimates is based on different components and different sections of the analysis. So, well, those are the basic things that you do during conceptual studies. So this is a conceptual studies report. So now some people may be asking me, I've been doing conceptual studies all my life, and I've never been doing this, it's like, then what have you been doing? I don't know. Okay, so usually maybe in government agency, if you're working for JKR and government agency, you probably call it CTK, Carangan Technical and Talks. If you're working for consultant, this is really mainly the CTK thing. Okay, so, well, CTK is conceptual studies, but it is not feasibility studies. I really want to be very clear about this definition. I know industry likes to use it interchangeably. Conceptual studies is feasibility studies. So you may be saying that I've been doing feasibility studies, but if you are doing what I'm saying now, things that I'm saying now, you're doing a conceptual studies. The conceptual studies inside have many parts. So it will get deeper and deeper. So in the end, from the conceptual studies, what you will get finally, at the end of the day, okay, it will be the whole scope of the project and the scope of work that is necessary. Scope lah, basically the scope lah. Okay, scope of works, we will have it as well, but we talk about it later. Okay. But when we go into scope of works already, all the components and everything is already pretty much set. Okay. So to this PBS thing, we are looking at product and all the product components itself. And maybe some form of work that is necessary for you to do these components or to construct this. Okay? And it will come with cost estimation. It will come with some scheduling. It will come with some codes and some specs as well. Because we need to look at the technical possibilities of doing the job. Is there any design? Like when I talk to my engineers, I will ask them, can design or not? Got any code or not? Got any specs or not? Do we have the ability to do it or not? Okay, so project scope statement is part of conceptual. And the first thing that you need to answer here is funding. You need the money to do it. And where does money come from? I have some of the notes here, if I'm not wrong, somewhere. Somewhere that talks about funding. Should be in another, should be here. Oh, what? The lamp. Oh, okay. Give me a fright. Something actually dropped in my house. I thought that's something just, I don't know, it's like a loud bomb. Okay, sorry. Yeah. Okay. So yeah. Never mind. In some way. So I will try to find it and maybe rearrange the notes a little bit. Okay. But yeah, it's worth to talk about funding here. So when we talk about, I think I talk about funding. I put it in procurement. Yeah, so it's not in this note. So in procurement. So yeah, maybe it's worth mentioning. Funding is like this. There is external funding, there is internal funding. So when we want to embark onto the project, we need to know that somebody's going to pay for it. That where is the money going to come from? So money can come from like borrowing, can come from institutions, can lending institutions such as government grants, um, government projects, tax. Government take tax and then they fund different infrastructural projects. Then if it's a private project, then it will be from the shareholders and the company itself. It can be from earnings from previous years that they reinvest into the new project to make more money. If it's not enough money, then they may actually go for public. I mean, like when the company is public listed, they will have to raise funds from the public, or they can raise funds from their own shareholder, and that will mean the share distribution will be altered as we go along. Okay, and yeah, so the shareholding, and then you see when you look at balance sheet for company, usually at the end of the day there is a part that is for shareholder earning, and then there is also things like shareholder equity and all that kind of stuff. So it's about whether shareholder actually pumps in more money and how much they're getting back and all that. So that is where funding comes from. So it can be from external sources, can be from internal sources. So in the end, we need to know some cost estimation at this stage so that we know whether we have the money to do it. So whether we have the money to do it or not, normally we call it viable, whether the project is viable. When we say a project is viable is whether the money is there and then whether you can make money from it or not. Okay? And that is what the questions that we're trying to answer when we talk about project at this stage, at this stage, the project funding stage and the project cost estimation stage, whereby we talk about the scope statement, about the different components and all that. And then these are parts and parcels of things that you need to put in besides the technical information, the organizational information. So your scope statement will have things like what is the components of projects that needs to be delivered, and then what is the content, what is the objective, objective in terms of money, in terms of time, in terms of cost. Then what is the outcome that you're looking at? It's a functional outcome, but it's very specific outcome. Okay. Then what is the constraint? When there's a constraint means that there is some legal constraints. So all this will actually come from your project environment that you can understand from the EIA. It's easier to read these things when you have already got the EIA there. That's criteria, what are the assumptions? There's some explanation. So in the end, you have the project scope. Okay, this is what we call project scope, whereby listing down the whole concept. So you can have some drawings here. You will have calculations. I mean, you have some costing calculations. You also have some time calculation. You will also list down some of the specs and code and standards that you'll be using, and what are some of the technical data. There may be some ground data, ball log data, standard SPT data, water data, that you collected. These are all technical data that you will need to in order for you to come to this scope, these components here. So the outcome of this is a report. It's a picture, it's drawings, it's description of your product, components and subcomponents, and some assessments of how it's doable or not, is viable or not. Doable or not means that technically it's doable. Okay. Financially, you have the money to do it or not. So that is viable. And then when you talk about whether it's feasible or not, then it is basically saying that does the benefit actually exceed the cost? Okay. So these are the questions that we are looking to answer. So you may ask me now, okay, we've got a scope statement now. So from the scope statement, what's next? Okay. Basically, when you do up to this stage here to come up with this scope statement, it's not so simple like what I say. Okay, you need to do project screening, selection, and option studies as well. Okay, so what happens is when you have a project charter, whereby you say this is a product that I want to build, you must do this part here, screening, okay, and selection. Normally, when you reach that project charter, you need to look at whether it's a yes or no. There may be some vying kind of ideas as well. You know, there may be what if we do something else? What if we don't do anything now? Okay, and like when you have a piece of land, and the idea is to build something on it. So your project charter will say that, you know, let's do development. But before you can say do what development, there is a lot of there is in between things whereby you need to do this stage of project screening, meaning that, you know, do you really want to do it? There is always this go or not go, yes or no. And then when you say development, can we just leave the land here for another few years and we rent it out? You know, is this maybe a better option at this point in time? So overall, before you can even say and go and do the components and subcomponents and do all the studies, you need to look at whether this idea is actually viable and this idea is actually possible. Okay? Viable, like I said, it means that do you have the money to do it or not? Technically, is it doable or not? You have the ability to do it, essentially. Capacity, do you have the capacity? And the capacity can only be two things: money and technical capacity. Money and knowledge. If you don't have the K, you have the M. Or better, you have both K and M, knowledge and money. So vitamin K, vitamin M. Adakah? So then there may be there may be different departments in your organization who is looking also at a piece of that, and they may also come up with an idea. So that is idea pitching. You are pitching your project with other type of project. In organization, it happens like that. Bosses don't just sit there and, you know, like whatever you say they do. You know, there will be different teams in the organization. There will be different group of leaders. They're all doing the same thing. It's just like when you know, when the ministry give money for research, I have idea. The other 10 of my colleagues also have ideas. So we are all thinking. So in the end, that pool of money can only be given to 3 or 4 or 1 or 2 of us. Same goes with project screening and selection. Okay? So maybe different departments may have different ideas. You know, when your engineering department, when your marketing department, you know, yes, you do work together, but you know, there may be other things, other opinion and all that. So in a big organization, a public listed company, or government agency, infrastructural, you have so many projects 1 year that have so little funding in the yearly budgeting. So then, you know, the money may goes to somebody who has more priority, some ideas that is a bit better, some ideas that is a bit more urgent, you know, and all that. So project screening is essentially like that. You know, it's really to say which is the process of testing the robustness of the project itself to see whether, you know, it brings whether you have the M or the K that is viability, and the other part is whether the project is worth it. Worth it means that, you know, is it feasible? Feasible means that the cost is going to be the benefit is going to be more than the cost. Okay, so it depends on the different sectors. They have different motivation when it comes to project selection. So in order for you to even go on to the next stage of doing a to doing to doing the subcomponents and components, you really need to go through this stage first. This stage of whether the project is worth it, whether it's okay to do it, and the idea is go or no go. Okay, then you are comparing different models, with comparing different ideas. Is it economically feasible and financially viable, etc., etc. So the cost more than benefits. What are the criteria? You may have some checklists. Strength. Of the project and all that. I mean, I'm saying maybe like, wow, I need to do so many things even to start a project. Yes, these are theory lah, There are some projects that is very much clear cut. You have to do. There's no other choice. The traffic is so bad, you need to enlarge the road. So some of these steps may be all skipped. So the idea, the traffic studies tell you that yes, we have to do this, and then let's go. So no need to say anymore. Got money? Got. Got resources? Got. Okay, go. You see? It can be very simple. But you need to know all this so that you know what to delete. Don't blah like that, a lot of projects because it's not well done in the end of the day, because it's not well thought through in the beginning. That big issue that stands up. And I don't like it when that happens. Okay? Like he's always talking about project management, you're trying to manage the project. A lot of people just look at the end bit, when you're managing the works, you're managing the activities, when you're managing the money that is being given to you, but that is already second half. What is about the first half, whereby you really think about what you really want to build and what you're investing in, and whether it's well thought through, whether it's really realistic or not, whether it's beneficial or not, and whether the design is really, really what we need, what the client needs, and what does the market needs, and this is what the society wants, this is what the nation wants, this is what the state needs, and all that. Just throwing out ideas, like spending a lot of money at the end of the day is not doing the job it's supposed to do. Okay? So, yeah, like I said, this step is theory, it's all day, but you can delete some of the steps because some of the project really not necessary to go through so many things. Because, like I said, project management is a lot of different type of projects, not only construction, not only M&E, not only power, not only communication. There's many, many types of projects. Some is really need a lot of steps. Some really is very straightforward, especially infrastructure. But certain infrastructure are very straightforward. Not all infrastructures are straightforward. See? So some is very complicated. Then you really do a lot of dive at the scope statement. So when we dive in the scope statement, when we finish that thing, we were looking at option analysis. So when we say yes, go or not go, then now option analysis is we're trying to see if the components can be, if there is other options, to do it, and it could be like option studies. I mean, like option studies is really coming up with different combo. So from your road, for example, or from your drain, for example, or from your school, for example. So this one project that you're doing, when you're trying to develop the components and subcomponents, we're trying to come up with different combinations. So this is what we call option analysis. Project screening is like the overall project, yes or no. Option analysis is talking about whether different components of the project can have different options or not, so that we can have different combo. And different combo, we will go through different cost benefit analysis, different costing, and order to study whether this is a better option economically, like in dollars and cents, whether it's going to make some return, whether it's going to be just purely outflow of cost, and which option will give more benefit than cost and all that. So we need to do economic analysis. So engineering economics is essentially about project screening and option analysis. So Dr. Lee will actually look at this numerical model she will look at all this calculation way of calculating whether your project is a yes or no, or whether the option itself of different combo is a yes or no. Okay, or the better one. Who is the winner? Okay. We have combo A, combo C, combo D. So you go to McDonald's, also got different combo kan. Ada SML combo, there ada burger combo, there ada nuggets combo. You know, so this option analysis is like doing the combo. Okay, and you know, like I've got friends or colleagues who will really look at the combo and say that which is the better combo. You know, oh, this combo actually is cheaper by 50 cents, but you get more meat, you know, kind of thing. You know, but essentially it's like that. You know, when we're spending like $20 in McDonald's, we also look at which is the better option. You know, this is what we really need. That may be the first question we ask. This is what we really want to eat today. Is it beef burger or chicken burger, you know, or fish fillet, you know? And then we look at preferences and we look at maybe of the burger, you know, the price that you pay versus the amount that you get. You know? So then we will pick which is the most suitable. Of course, the thought process that we go through when we press in McDonald's is a lot faster. So we're only looking at spending $20 per bread. But here, we're looking at spending 20 million. Then obviously the time that you need to put in to do your alternate analysis is going to be a lot greater than just like 5 seconds or 30 seconds to think about what you want to eat, you see? So option analysis, the option analysis is really about studying a different combo. Okay? And yeah, so there will be like cost benefit analysis, cost effectiveness analysis, whereby we look at the value, benefit, and cost of a project. So then after we select the combo, then we will look at the feasibility studies. Okay, the feasibility studies of whether the whole project is socially, economically, practically, environmentally beneficial for the project. So we usually do, when we do feasibility studies, we will fit to this technical, economic, social, and environmental studies for you to check whether the project is really feasible or whether it's properly doable or not. Okay? And this is the part that we also maybe do risk assessments. And this is a time that we will also do value engineering. Okay. And then we pick the final combo that we're looking at and do this analysis and then saying that, okay, this is a good option. We're going to go for that. And then that is where your components and subcomponents come out, and that is a whole scope statement with the conceptual studies completed, and then follow on, you will do the option studies. You do the options in your feasibility studies. So the whole flow is like the concept, and then develop the components, doing the cost benefit analysis, and then doing the feasibility studies, all the option studies. So then so this is the whole process. But I will talk about this a lot more, in my pre-recorded lecture. I will do a bit more of a reminder what to think about, what to do in a thing. Okay, so I think I don't want to go on anymore because I think it's quite heavy. It's a lot of things here that we are trying to digest. Do you want me to go on, or are you okay if we just like call it a day? Stop here first, so I know exactly where we stop already. So I will go back and I will relook the pre-recorded that I have, on the option analysis part. So I will start my pre-recorded lecture on option analysis, okay, and then be a bit more things on option analysis and talk about more on feasibility studies. In terms of, I feel like if you go on talking, and then it's like you may not really capture it. So, but the flow is like this. So the flow is from conceptual studies, whereby we have two components there, which is the project charter, scope statement, and in the project charter, we will do our project screening, okay? And then the project is a go or not go. Then after that, when we plan for the different components, we do option analysis, and that is to come up with different combo. Okay? And with different combo, you will do your option analysis, like I said, your numerical studies, especially. You will also do what we call qualitative studies, whereby we look at the social, environmental, and dollars and cents. Financial is dollars and cents. So option studies is not only just like, okay, I come up with 5 combos or 3 combos. So each of this combo, we will do an analysis in 2 things, 2 ways. One is in dollars and cents. Dollars and cents means that we use all these numerical analysis that is dealing with dollars and cents, like net present value, annual worth, and all that. Okay. Then when we come to non-dollars and cents, we can use other index, other numbers, or other factors to look at those that is not dealing with dollars and cents. Like for example, numbers in terms of index, in terms of happiness index, solution index, air quality, and safety index, all these sort of other things that we were looking at, to measure the other non-dollars and cents. The numbers is not related to dollars and cents. So we will have 2 aspects here. Well, we need to put our option studies against 2 aspects. One is dollars and cents, one is the non-dollars and cents, which we'll try to figure out other number to actually replace that. And then this all simply very qualitative way of replacing it. Okay. Then what are we studying here? We're studying whether benefit actually exceeds the cost. So whichever options that give us a better, more benefit than cost, whether it is in dollars and cents, whether it is in non-dollars and cents, essentially we are looking at whether there's more benefit to which option. So it's when you pick those options, or when you already narrow down to this one final options or 2 options, okay, that is whereby you may run a feasibility studies. Okay, so let's draw a line here. From the option analysis, from the study of the benefit and cost, we will have our components and subcomponents. And in the report you do, you will have things like the objective, assumptions, constraint, the benefit, the cost, the funding, whatever I listed previously here in the notes just now. So in terms of report, these are the things that you write. See, these are the things that you write. Yeah, project objective criteria, your project your option configurations, and your deliverables and your analysis and all that. So when we come to end of the scope statement, you usually have the scope already. Okay? Then when you want to further develop this scope, this is a time that we will do feasibility studies. Okay? And feasibility study is really whether this option is feasible. So you'll have a report on that. Okay. We normally don't recommend doing feasibility studies during the conceptual studies, because conceptual studies, your options are not clear yet. See, you're not fully clear yet. And your combo that you select will also not be very clear yet. So it's better to do feasibility studies when the combo is done. And that is why some of you say that I never do conceptual study, I always do feasibility studies, because maybe your job does not need you, when your scope not that you normally deal with, especially for infrastructure project, for nation building kind of project. Normally, there isn't much of an option to do that. Okay, so it's the project is quite clear. It's the solution is there. all you need to do is to do the feasibility studies. Okay? But some project is different. Some project you may need to go through these different stages for you to finally confirm that, feasibility, from the feasibility studies, okay, the project is really doable technically, it's really financially viable, it's really technically okay, our organization has the ability, and that are usually coupled with some preliminary design. Some design can be even the design work is already there ongoing at the same time as well. That you do the feasibility studies together. Okay. Usually preliminary studies are preliminary drawings and all that you have. So once the options is confirmed, it's feasible, money is there and all that, then we move on to do the then we move on and we do the design. The design work will be ongoing after that. Then we move on to the design stage. Okay. Then from the design, we do procurement, we do construction and building or delivery. Okay. So that is the flow. So then as you flow down, statement, feasibility studies, and then we will come to the last bit of the notes whereby we are looking at work breakdown. Okay, so this is work breakdown structure. After you guys get the flow clear, so that when you listen to the prerecorded lecture, you will flow this lecture later. So work breakdown structure, when do we do work breakdown structure? So once your design is out already, you can do work breakdown structure. Work breakdown structure is the activities, is the work that you do. It is no more product breakdown. It's really like, what do you need to do in order to finish component A? What do you need to do in order to finish component B? Is also what you do in order to finish component C, and the these are. So from this part here onwards, this is actually all the verbs. Previously, we're talking about nouns. We're talking about components, subcomponents, deliverables, outcome, result, product. These are all nouns. And when we do work breakdown, is essentially on the work itself. Okay, this is how we speak our scope statement, scope management, and value engineering and LCC. We are also doing it during the earlier stages, maybe during after the scope statement, we have all the different components. When you're doing feasibility studies, you can do preliminary design, you can do value engineering, you can do LCC. Or you can do, then that can also flow into, okay? It can also flow into final design, especially value engineering. Option studies, value engineering, yes, definitely you can do, because it's about different combos, which is the best value combo. And then you go, when you do your feasibility studies, you can also do value engineering. When you do design, you can also do value engineering. But when you already finish the design and do construction and procurement, to do value engineering at that time is too late. LCC also the same. When you're doing design, pre-design, option studies, LCC has to be done as well. Life cycle costing. You can use life cycle costing to also compare options. But if you don't do life cycle costing to compare options, you can do it during design. In order for you to, when you're doing design, you can see, okay, this component is going to give more maintenance, what material we use to give more, will create more issues, operation and maintenance and all that. So it's not only about construction, it's about point and okay. So this is where everything ties in together with one another. All right. So in your pre-recorded lecture, I think I will start off from giving you option analysis and recap you on option analysis all the way to feasibility studies, and then finally scope work breakdown structure. And I will also have 60 minutes, especially on LCC and BE. So these are the last 2 hours plus, I would say, on class that we kind of like, because we finished the classes earlier a bit. So last week we finished about uh, 12, about 12. So we have a lot extra, another 2 hours here. We finished today a little bit earlier. So there's another 2.5 hours, 2 to 2.5 hours, 120 minutes worth of classes to go through. I mean, like lecture to go through. So I'll put that in pre-recorded so that to make you slow down a little bit. It's just like if you give everything at one shot and finish everything in only 6 hours, I don't think you can digest also like this. Not only that, and I feel like when I talk also, I may not be as detailed because my brain are pushing, and then later on I miss out certain things. But with pre-recorded, I think it's a bit, it's like slowly, feeding you guys a bit in a slower manner. Or see if it works, see how you feel. Okay, see how you feel. You need me once you finish your pre-recorded, when we come back to the class, when I meet you physically, by all means, we still can talk about this and see how you feel. Okay, then we can adjust again. Okay, or in between, let's say, because we have a long time, a long stretch that stretch here that we will not classes. So there's plenty of time for you to digest the notes and recording and all that. And tell me, if you need me to sort of like go online with you, maybe one afternoon or in the evening, 1 hour or whatever, to explain certain things, I'm more than happy to do that. I just need you to request. I cannot keep on like, anticipating what you know and what you don't know. So I want you all to do well, and be able to apply this, not to say do well in terms of getting A's for exams, but I think the more important thing is because you're working, we want the knowledge of MSc, EM, project management and all that to contribute to your workplace, to contribute to your career. I think it's more important than getting an A or B, or of course we all want 60 and above, right? No good if we are failing that. So, but main thing is using the knowledge. Don't care too much about marks, but getting an A doesn't mean a lot. So failing is of course not the way to do it as well, but main thing is how, can we talk about how you can use this knowledge, for your workplace? Because it's a bit difficult for me to explain sometimes because we are all from different company, different industry. Some of you are actually totally different industry, even. So, maybe through discussion, we can have more of contribution to knowledge in that sense, rather than me talking. I don't know, what do you think? Tell me, Oh my goodness, if I'm sitting here, I feel like I'm talking to a screen all by myself, talking like a crazy woman for the past 2 hours. Any opinion, like any one of you working more on the development planning and development part in your organization? Oh, tired again. Okay. So are we okay? Are we ready to stop here?
Okay, doctor.
Okay, Afifi.
Okay, doctor.
Uh, good. Ayo, this camera, no, why is it like bending up and down? How come I don't know how to use this thing? It's not sitting on my screen, I don't know why. Okay, so how? Russell, Shanina, Alexander, the new students, are you guys okay? True?
I'm okay, doctor.
All of you are good students, just that sometimes I don't know whether you really understand what I'm trying to do here. This project management sometimes can be more theoretical, and we're trying to apply theory to try to get you guys to apply theory to your practical applications. You guys do a lot of things that I say just now at your workplace, or you just like not really also?
I have experience on this project management, on this WBS, on my planning things. Yeah, I do use the Myra tools for the planning.
Oh.
The-
Yeah,
yeah,
but
the-
Primavera. But I need you to understand too that WBS is the work partner.
yeah,
Because when you're in planning section, you're supposed to be developing the product itself as well. So make sure that you also understand the part on product development. Not so much on, I mean, the work part, I think most of us do know, like WBS is definitely the work part. But, the earlier part whereby you are studying the scope, when you're studying project screening, when you're studying about the project evaluation, about the
yeah. Project
uh,
initiation.
yeah, I think
Yeah.
it's very important. I find that it's very lacking in our industry. You are from, I remember you're from one of the government agency, right?
I'm
Is it Sarawak Water?
yeah. I'm working.
Yes, I think you have.
So I got
You work
some
with,
there's some project on the construction bit yeah.
so you're with Shell, is it?
Sabah Shell Petroleum.
Oh, okay. Not
Based
the
in Miri.
Miri one.
Yeah.
Is the Shell MDX?
Pardon? Can you?
Is it Shell MDX, like the Bintulu one, is it?
No, the MDS is the downstream I'm on the upstream. Yeah, for the platform operation of things. Yeah.
So maybe like from the classes that we have, now that you have, I hope that I've already kind of like framed it out in a more academic, I mean in an academic way lah, huh? So maybe you can take a look at what you guys are doing in terms of your workplace, and then maybe can, modify or reshake it, a little bit, I think it will be very interesting. Maybe there are some things that you guys never do, but there are some things that you guys do, and that is not mentioned, and I think that is also like a checklist in a way, lah, huh? That would be a bit helpful for you to use the knowledge, back into your workplace. Mm. But you are applying for the appel, right?
Yeah, actually I'm doing the FL as well for this project management because I attended the PMP course, but I haven't taken the exam The
If
fight, yeah.
But when you do the appel, when you pass the appel, that means you don't have to do the exam or you don't have to come to class at all.
Um, that's why actually because if I'm attend the I can attend the class, but a lot of assignment then later takes time So I'm trying to do the FLC. Then if can pass, then I just take the FLC
Mm-hmm. So basically, I am not sure. FLC is just give you the option of, does FLC exempt you from only the exam and assignment or totally from the subject?
FLC is totally on the subject, I think,
But
Yeah.
you are still attending the classes because you haven't
I
confirmed on
haven't appealed, I haven't submitted because it's like before 4th of November need to submit and then they need to get approved.
Okay, can. I know I've been appointed as the assessor for your things. So if you submitted, I will take a look later. But
Okay. Can.
even if you don't come and take exams and all that, you are exempted from FL. I'm more than happy that you continue to come to the classes. I'm fine with that. Okay. But
Okay.
that one no pressure lah. So or if there's pre-recorded, you're interested in certain topics and all that is pre-recorded, I'm pretty sure you're okay to be on Elite and then just download it. It's fine. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, doctor.
No problem. All right. So I think if there's no other questions and nothing else, we call it a day. And I will see you guys again in November. And meantime, we keep in contact with the WhatsApp. And after I post the notes and the pre-recorded lecture, I will let everybody know. And then maybe sometime in November, I will check with you guys whether you're okay or not. Whether you need any extra classes or not, I will check with you guys. Okay. Right. But if you have any issues, you can contact me. Okay. You can email me because school management is under me. So any questions, anything that you need me to answer you, we can do discussion. It's fine. Okay. Just let me know.
Okay, doctor.
All right. So I'll see you guys. Anyone else need to do attendance?
Thank you, doctor.
Vivi, you look so relaxed, Vivi. This is the last semester. You are. Vivi, your last semester is it? Hilang ni.
Doctor, my line is not clear. So yeah, doctor.
Okay. Right lah. So you all know where to find me lah, huh? New students.
Yeah, okay. Sorry, doctor. My
let me
line
know.
currently is not available.
Okay, it's okay. So that's it for me today. Have a good weekend and yeah, have a rest of a good evening with your family. I'll see you guys soon. Bye.
Okay, thank you, doctor.
Thank
Bye.
you, doctor.
Thank you, Dr. Ting.
Thank you, doctor.